Brought to you by Moonbeam Multimedia.
This is 16 to 1, a podcast about education, teaching, and learning.
Hi, I'm Tina Heineke-Kurtz. I'm an 8th grade learning strategist, special education teacher here at Silver Lake Intermediate School in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin.
Oh.
And allow me to spell Oconomowoc.
Yeah.
Oconomowoc. Easily remembered because we are the 5 O's baseball, volleyball, soccer teams. 5 O's, 5 lakes that surround us.
Can I just say, for regional dialectical purposes, that it looks like there are way more syllables in that name than you are saying out loud.
Yes. Oconomowoc, here on the lake.
I love
a little
it.
frozen right now. A little frozen.
I was going to ask if you had snow.
Yes. And in fact, we have ski clubs starting up on Friday. So that's why this interview
That's
came at a
fun.
perfect time.
Okay.
So, yep, we're going skiing. We've not started ice fishing club yet. Probably some insurance, mumbo jumbo.
That sounds fun, though. I would definitely do that. Chelsea would be all over ice fishing, I feel like.
I'm pretty pathetic in the cold, honestly.
They sit in huts. You have little...
Yeah. There's
You're
huts
like
and
a
there's
building.
shanties.
Okay,
Yeah.
if I can be guaranteed some creature comfort degree of warmth, then I'm all in for ice fishing.
Of course. And like bratwurst and cheesy potatoes. And there's a setup.
I'm good with this.
I didn't know that was a part of ice fishing. I think I now have to make this my main hobby activity.
My husband has perfected the cheesy potato breakfast casserole.
Sounds
He calls
so
it
good.
like it's a stomach bomb. That's what he calls it. And he leaves like with this cast iron. He's like, we're just gonna warm it up on the griddle out there. I'm like, don't fall through. See you in a few hours.
Good luck. Safe travels.
Can you two tell everyone how you met?
I feel like this should be like a 2-part story.
Okay. You tell your version, I tell my version.
Okay.
So I got chosen for the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum Teacher Fellowship for 2025. And as part of the fellowship, they pair you up with mentors. And so Tina was one of my mentors. And she was the person who sat beside me on the bus on the very first morning. Thank God, after I had a meltdown at breakfast that she didn't know about. And Chelsea basically all but dragged me onto that bus.
It was the day when you got an entire plate of sausage, only
this
sausage.
was my nervous sausage breakfast event, which has been spoken about at great length. But Tina was you were perfect from the very beginning. I was so glad you sat beside me, and then I just kept finding you because you just felt so safe and real, and you're a Midwesterner, which I love, of course, and so that was so easy for us. So that's my version. I'll let Tina tell hers about the weird girl eating sausage at breakfast.
Totally did not recognize what anyone ate for breakfast. I don't even remember what I had for breakfast that day. We are in the middle of DC, just like a field trip. There's like counting of people trying to make sure like we didn't leave anybody at the hotel. And it is hot. So I am already like, I got the sweat going and I just needed to get on that bus. I was one of the last ones. I'm like, just give me an open seat. Backstory. I was traveling and I had invited my son, who then invited his then college girlfriend to come along with us. So not only am I managing like this professional part of my life, but there's this huge transition happening in my life of I'm trying to manage like a 21-year-old son, his girlfriend in a single hotel room. And
Right, that's the crucial key is there's one room and you're all in it.
One room and we're all in it. And I've maybe met this nice young woman maybe like 3 times. And I'm like, hi, try not to use my razor. Like but I'm also very, but if you need to, like, go ahead because you love my son. I don't know. So like I had like managed all that. So yes, again, Midwest nice. There's just something about when you do teacher professional developments and you're thrown into places, you look for you look to accept, and everybody's got something, and there's a reason that we're all there, right? So that was great. But my favorite part is I had no idea of the whole like Bacon Gate or whatever we're calling it.
Not Bacon Gate. Don't hit me with the Bacon Gate.
I don't know what that was, but
me neither. Honestly, me neither. So yeah, that's a great question. What was I doing?
But we spend the whole, well, no, you're accepting and loving people. And that's what makes, I think, professional educators and people in these roles like so valuable, because my favorite part of this is at the end, I walked away thinking, oh my gosh, this is the nicest woman, and totally saw me like not at my best, because we are now driving back after 8 hours of like some really heavy lifting and thinking, and how do we teach this very hard history? And the seat is open next to Katie. So I like sit my happy self down, and we're driving back, and there's some, like, how was your day? What are you thinking about? How do you see this in your classroom? Like very professional. And I realize where we are on the street, and I look up and I'm like, excuse me, 1 minute. And I get out my phone and I call my son, who I'm sharing a hotel room with, his girlfriend. And I'm like, hey, it's Mom. And I'm going to be back there in less than 10 minutes, just letting you know. And then I had to turn to this perfect stranger and be like, so this is happening in my life. And you know what? Without missing beat, Katie's like, oh, okay. Yeah, this happens to people all the time.
I knew you were warning your son.
Thank God he did too, because they both met me in the lobby and they're like, oh yeah, we just got back here. I was like,
yeah, I bet. Actually, Tina, we've talked about you on the podcast because we have told our story of walking the Freedom Trail backwards in Boston, which you were our guide. You were the one who carried us through that entire...
I think there's a chance we also talked about getting lost looking for the Library of Congress, in case we shared that. I think we did, though.
Listeners, join Tina on epic adventures. Honestly, awkward adventures.
You're not going to regret anything other than maybe being taken in by the Capitol Police under the Capitol building.
All you got to do is look like you know what you're doing. You just got to sending energy.
I'm walking like I'm supposed to be there. I mean,
there was a woman who clocked us so hard, though. She was like, you three are lost. She was very helpful. Just a random woman.
Did we all get our library cards?
We sure did.
We did. Will they accept it at the grocery store when they ask for your ID? No. I knew we might be talking about the Library of Congress card, so I did run that experiment this week. They were like, do you have some ID? I do. Do you have my Miller Lights? They're like, yes. I'm like, here's my ID.
These are not gonna work.
And like, no, the best part is the kid's out there, because I'm doing clickless delivery, and he's like scanning it, and he turns it over and he looks at it. And I did one of these. I'm like, oh, I guess that was my wrong ID. Hold on a minute.
No, you didn't.
I knew we were going to talk about it. So places you cannot use your ID.
Your clickless.
Your Library of Congress use card.
Yeah.
We are speaking with you in our Voices in Teaching series today. I want to hear a little bit about you, your classroom teaching background, how you got into special education, how you ended up where you are today, because I know you've gone through a couple of different changes in your career.
So I started out, important to know, I'm first generation college. And my parents worked very, very hard to save up so that I could go to college. When it was time to pick a college, there were not a lot of resources to help us pick a college. This is why I ended up leaving Oconomowoc, going 5 hours away to a small private school in Indiana because, quote, they had a good teaching program. That's where I ended up. When I was there, I was pretty clear about what I was going to do. I was going to get my teaching degree. I was joining the Peace Corps. I told my parents, like, I'm never coming back to Oconomowoc. How could you, like, raise me in this small place?
How dare you exist in this place?
Yes,
with
this
me
so
here.
Unworldly place where we are surrounded by comfort all the time. Shame. Like
where I am the most comfortable.
The worst.
Yes, this is 18-year-old me. Like, so fast forward to 4 years into college, I'm with this really great guy. I bring him home and like, but we had rules. Like, I need you to know, like, I'm not getting married and I'm joining the Peace Corps. And if you want to come with me, you're getting a business degree. I'm sure you can like do a business on some hillside because this is happening. So
have degree, we'll travel, we'll make it work.
We'll make
Peace
it.
Corps is the place for a thriving
He specified business
startup
business
that
degree.
was like, but for some reason he decided to stick with us. I don't know. Well, probably because there's a lot of adventure and fun. So bring him home to Oconomowoc. We end up doing like the most Wisconsin. Like my parents are like, well, we'll start out with some hors d'oeuvres of some cheese curds for this college boy. And so there was cheese curds, an old fashioned, a fish fry. And he's like, Tina, why the hell would you ever leave this place? You're surrounded by 5 lakes. You have a ski hill 5 minutes drive from your house. And this is like the nicest town with the nicest people. What are you thinking? I'm like, I don't think you understand. He's like, yeah, I don't think you do either. So, ended up moving back to the community that raised me, ended up teaching in the elementary school where I was an elementary school student being mentored by Marilyn Largent, who was my 5th grade teacher who instilled the love of reading in me, because Marilyn taught me to read books, not to fill out the comprehension sheets. She just wanted me to talk about Johnny Tremaine and my side of the mountain and to hear how my voice talked about them. And she's like, and Marilyn Largent didn't follow all the rules. Everyone was supposed to fill out comprehension sheets. I didn't have to do that. Yep. I just needed to ask her for the next book. She just knew. That I ended up being mentored by her my first year of teaching was such an honor and just the universe sometimes really works in good ways.
It does.
So,
so you skipped the Peace Corps? Can we go back? So you never did that?
Never. No.
So you never had to set up his hillside business. Good.
No,
I'm happy for your husband.
No, that boy, like, he was ready to marry me after that fish fry and like the after dinner drink of the Stinger. He was like, I am in love. Let's get married and let's move back here. And after a few years of doing that, after I'd gone on maternity leave with my first kid, I came back with 3 weeks left of school. And I showed up after having this baby in January and then being able to finish out 3 more weeks. I learned some really important lessons. First of all, I didn't have to come back. They would have kept learning. The world just really went on without me.
First of all, it actually wasn't around me. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't about me and it wasn't about my stellar teaching. I really think that even if that sub didn't show up, and she was phenomenal, but even if she wouldn't have, like, Kayla would have taken over just teaching math. And like Blake, who really liked to read, he would have just been like, hey, everybody, we should be doing some reading.
A social hierarchy and handle it.
So planted in my head was like, if I'm going to be away from this perfect baby, I need to be somewhere where I'm really, really needed. Where's the biggest need? And when I was doing my student teaching and my practicum work, I truly love middle school. So I talked to some like middle school teacher friends and I'm like, so like, here are my feelings. And they're like, oh God, you don't show up even in the first 5 minutes. That classroom's going to hell. Like, if you want to be needed somewhere, you come on over. So I have a minor in science. So I went and I interviewed and I did that. So that's how I ended up teaching middle school science. I said there were 2 things I learned. The second thing I learned, and this is really important, on the last day of school, we had a field day. Now, mind you, I just come off of maternity leave and I was in like sterilization of everything that was touched by this baby or might come in contact with this baby.
You were like that level of...
Yeah, I was at a level of crazy. Delightful little girl. Kelly was the neighbor behind us and she would love to come over and just like see baby Brody. And her mom was amazing. She'd be like, you can only touch the baby's feet. She'd leave and I'd be like, new socks for Brody. And I know she touched those toys over there. So I'm like,
so they're dirty too.
Yeah. So there's like wiping with boiling water on things. That was really important in those maternity leave times. Well, last day of school on field day, I had this realization that I had wasted that time because I was in charge of the last station. And that was the ice cream sandwich station. It sounds
No.
great, doesn't it?
No,
Nope.
no.
Kids are eating ice cream sandwiches, but don't worry, friends. There's a pool where they could wipe off their hands.
No.
Do you know what that looked like? And the worst part was there's a kid, a kindergarten kid, Kyle, I'll remember him forever, was really thirsty. And he was
No,
one of the
Kyle.
last kids
No,
going through.
Kyle.
I had to like pull Kyle back from like slurping up the ice cream
Yeah,
water
slop.
and pulling Kyle out of that. And my philosophy in education has always been, don't ever say my kid would never. And as I'm yanking Kyle out of the slop bowl, gagging, I'm thinking, my God, this is going to be my kid someday. There is some real opportunities.
Brody.
Here comes Brody, just like flopping in the slop bowl. So from that point forward, I was like, we're going to let him be exposed to some germs.
Yeah, he needs that. Kyle's probably immune to most things that the rest of us do.
Yeah, poor Kyle. But back to, I knew then middle school was my place to be. And that's where I've landed and that's where I've stayed. And I'm so happy to do those things. So I ended up earning my national board certification in 2007. And I've reapplied for it. So I've like maintained my certificate. That's the prep
Yeah, girl.
we're supposed to use in science. That's my journey. In the midst of that, I started to believe some of my own press. People were like, oh, you and your national boards? Well, why aren't you an administrator? You should be impacting education at the next level. Oh, yeah, I should do that. No, I shouldn't. No.
It's a trap. It's a trap,
I-
Tina.
I did. I felt like financially, we fell into that trap. I came home and I'm like, oh my, I was doing my practicum and I came home and I'm like, Kevin, I've made a huge mistake. It's not you.
Good news.
It's this whole administrative thing. No, thank you.
Tell me more about that, because I get caught in the trap of occasionally encouraging Katie that
That's been
she
her
should.
recent,
well,
her recent thought.
I know,
Maybe you should
but
think about
here's the thing. No, I completely hear you when you say classroom teaching is my passion, and like that is a thing that operates my life, works in a very certain way that I actually really enjoy, and I don't want to do this completely different job of being an administrator. I totally understand the gifts that you have calling you to a classroom. I also, at the same time, feel strongly that a lot of people who would be very good in school leadership say the same thing you do and stay in the classroom where their talents are definitely still needed. Don't get me wrong, but it feels like there's a missing body of people who would be very, very good at educational leadership who don't want to give up that classroom experience.
I found that I could not be my true self.
Yeah.
And that's really okay. That wasn't part of my journey at the time. I was fortunate enough to have an amazing administrator. Ellen was like, I'm so sorry. I was in this role, it was on an administrative track. And I came back to Ellen and I'm like, please, get me out of this resource role. I'm not, this isn't my true self. I'm not happy. I found myself, I wasn't being honest with children. I found myself, I wasn't being truly my honest self with the adults I was working with. And I wasn't happy. I'm like, please.
You don't like that.
Yeah. Find me something. She's like, all I have is this ELA spot and we're adopting this new curriculum and there's going to be a lot of training and you might, and I'm like, yes, I am ready. She's like, it's
Push
not
me.
science.
Yep.
Yeah.
Push
It's
me.
not science. It's okay.
I'm not going to say that it'll never come up for me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still in like probably the first third of my career at the rate of which the retirement options are going, it feels like. But, like I'm watching my curriculum director miss teaching. When I think about why do I drive to work, it's the kids. It's not like the process. It's not, it comes with it, but like it's the interaction, it's the relationship. And those are the first things I would lose. So I can't even fathom that shift for myself right now.
But the grateful part of my journey and all of that learning is I was the happiest person at meetings. If you pull my coworkers right now, they're probably like, oh, she's not so happy all the time. But I guess what I would say is like, I could acknowledge and recognize things in some directions that we were doing or some things that we had to do. And I'd be like, I recognize that. Like, I know the reason. Again, I think that made me the professional that I am, who would then be willing to take risks. So about 8 years ago now, I was coming home and there were really some words around what we were doing around full inclusion. And my husband really got tired of hearing it. And finally, like one night, kids go off. They're doing they're doing homework. They're doing their own thing. And he just looked at me and he goes, you're in this for 10 to 15 more years. you are so like, you're either going to make the change or you got to quit complaining about it, because like, this is really getting to be a lot. And it was like one of those, oh,
Yeah, like
well,
it's coming home. It's
yeah, it's coming home, and my feelings around like what we were doing and what we were doing and saying we were doing around full inclusion, we weren't. So I was like, ugh. And there was a little Bucky for a while, and he was wrong, and then he was right, and
Yeah,
then
he
I
was right.
started. And then he pushed me in this place of like, people that truly care about you put you into a safe place of reflection on your life. So that's when I went back and I got my license to teach special education here in Oconomowoc. In the Lake Country, we call it, my role is a learning strategist. I have a caseload of, this year I have 14 amazing kids, and I write their IEPs, I case manage, I get to teach them. I am a co-teacher in an ELA classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful, and it's challenging and heartbreaking and thought-provoking every single day.
Katie, you have a co-teacher in your ELA classroom this year for the first time, don't you?
I did.
Yeah.
I got one. She's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's been probably one of the best things that's ever happened in my career.
Do
for
you
me in my classroom?
Yeah, do you enjoy that kind of interacting? Why does that speak to you, Tina?
Well, it's interesting because I work with two different ELA teachers. So I start my morning with Nicole, and Nicole and I, our teaching style is we're popcorn. We kind of bounce off of each other. We plan together, but if something's going awry, one will give the other one a look like, this isn't, like this vocab, it's not sticking or it's not great. Like, we're not doing that. And that's great. We can play off of one another. Nicole said something this morning like, well, Mrs. Kurtz and I were fighting about this before work. Do you guys think? And like, we will model for them. And in so many ways, like, we've got a co-teaching relationship that they see us. This is also like how partners in learning work together. We can disagree, and we make that super transparent. Like, well, I read this story, and from this point of view of the story, Mrs. Kurtz thinks this, or Mrs. Upke thinks this, and this is how we've got this banter. I work with Misty, my other colleague, in the afternoon, and we co-teach together, but we are in our class, and the makeup of our class is very like, Misty does her thing, Tina does her thing. When we talk, we're a bit more formal. I would say something like, Mrs. Burton, I need you to repeat that direction one more time. I heard you say, I need to create my CER this way, my claim, evidence, and reasoning. And she's like, oh, no, you need 2 pieces of evidence, Mrs. Kurtz. I'm like, okay, thanks for that. So it's a bit more formal. Both are wonderful, and it meets the environments and the students that we have. So that's exciting. And then I'm back in the last block with Nicole, teaching with her. And it's your last block of the day in a middle school. I'm just going to give pause for listeners to be like, oh, I know them.
I know. Yeah, I have an interesting 7th period, our last period of the day. And those are 10th graders. So thoughts and prayers.
Oh, are you ready? Not that we have to do one up, but like,
no,
I'm
please beat me. I want to lose at this.
20 boys, 6 girls.
Okay, we're actually not that far off. Mine is more like 16 and 4, 16 and 5, like somewhere in there. So we're not super, but yeah.
Okay, so which one of you in your co-teaching partnership are, oh, you're a good teacher. You can do this. Your skill set with this kid.
Leah is like creative, and like she brings in all of these like ideas that I normally would be like, that's chaos. And it kind of is, but it's really good for me. And so having her there gives me the comfort and the security to know that, could I do this without you? No chance. I can with you. And so I kind of like lean into that. She has such a good rapport, especially with the students that are on her caseload. Yeah. That's made me feel a lot more comfortable. Just as far as like, you don't want to not service one appropriately. You don't want to not meet whatever these goals are. And so she brings me a lot of peace. And I did send her $10 today because she deserves a sweet treat after that period.
Of course. When you talk about bringing out the best in people or challenging people, I would love for you guys to meet my friend Emily. Emily and I, a few years ago, taught math together. I have taught everything in intermediate school. But math, I was scared of math. And Emily was so ticked when I became a learning strategist and they put me in her math classroom. She's like, oh my God, I got another kid coming. You know, I'm like,
one more to track the data for.
yeah, what's this exponent thing? You know, like, but again, that ripple effect of people being able to take chances and again, not always having to teach with your friends or people that are just like you. Some of my best co-teaching partnerships, we are actually very opposite. So, and that's exciting.
Yeah. And that's exactly, I think, kind of the chord that Leah and I have struck. I also like that I can speak about her so firmly without her ever getting to say anything about what her experience is like. So Leah, when you listen, you're next. I've loved getting this opportunity, and I hope that our schedule keeps working at the school where we can keep doing this. It really works for us, and I think it's equal parts of who we both are.
I am grateful for this part of the journey that I'm on. I am in a district that believes in full inclusion, that has presented some great wins, and it has presented some really great challenges for us. And I've gotten to be part of that, and I'm in it right now in a very unique time. So when there was co-teaching, there is this idea that two teachers working together, equal partnership, but really that co-planning, co-serving model, there's so many different ways that we can approach co-teaching. Now that's cautionary because some listeners are going to be like, yeah, I have a co-teacher. I see her every 3 days or something like that. And so I always joke about, you got to give face. When you're the learning strategist, people expect to see your face. That was a really hard lesson that I had to learn when I first entered into this role, that people are going to be upset if you get pulled out for 4 days of a math intervention training because you weren't there for so-and-so. That was a really big hurdle that I was like, wait, what? But I was at this thing where the district sent me to do this work, but oh yeah, math class still went on. There were lots of feelings around like, oh my gosh, I let this kid down. I let my teaching partner down, but I got some really cool activities, and I got some really
But wait till you see my new chart. You're going to love it. I got an organizer.
I got a math game with spinners.
Yes.
Yeah. So those professional partnerships are interesting, and it took time to develop. So 8 years in, still liking it. But when I talk to you about like changing and things like that, I've been in fully inclusive education here within our district when that pendulum was really, really, really swinging one way. Then this thing, I don't know if you heard, did you guys have this COVID in your area?
I've heard of it.
I've heard of it.
I've heard tell.
Tell me what you is.
Interesting story about that. My kid was on spring break. So my Brody was hiking part of the Appalachian Trail, and they walked out of this, like stopped, finally got phone service, got their phone connected, and he called my husband and was like, Dad, it's really weird. We're at this Walmart and there's nobody here, and they say like everything's closed. What? And Kevin's like, okay, son, you need to get home.
Yeah, you gotta scoot.
This is what's happening. So like when we think about the,
imagine. That's crazy.
That's part of our family lore. But when we closed down, all schools in Wisconsin closed down March 13th. That was right before our spring break was supposed to start. The following week, I think we're supposed to attend school like 1 or 2 days. Kids are like leaving. We're like, take your Chromebooks, take your chargers, make sure you have this with you. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Little did we know that this eighth grade group that we were sending out the door with their Chromebooks, we would see them again in person at their 8th grade promotion where they had to go by in a car. We made kids had floats for their, and as teachers, we had to stand 6 feet apart and cheer for them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wild.
Here's the good part about this journey. I was a veteran teacher by that point. So I was like, okay, I'm good. Yeah, I can do this thing.
I've seen whatever version of this story. We're fine.
Yeah. Oh, this is another new whatever. But also when I entered that role, then I could be like a first-year teacher all over again, but with the confidence of a veteran teacher. So I could show up somewhere and be like, yeah, I don't understand that paperwork. Can you show me how to do that? Can you show me so that was I was really enjoying that part of my professional career. being able to show up and be like, yeah, I don't know, show me.
I would love that. That sounds nice.
Yeah, I was living the dream, baby. And then we closed down for COVID. And then it was like, okay, now I got to figure out this Canvas thing. And how am I going to help students meet IEP goals from this digital platform?
Yeah.
And, the kid that would like send me the text message that was like, Mrs. Kurtz, my internet is out. I cannot meet with you. I'm like, you are on your phone. You can meet with me. We're meeting. Silence, silence, silence. Or Kevin's like, one time I come home and she's upstairs saying to a kid, I will turn off this camera. You need to put a shirt on now. And I was like yelling at some kid that he needed to put a shirt on before he could meet with me. I had Caleb, who we would do 5 math problems, and then he'd like take me on a ride on his scooter. He would hold his Chromebook on the front of his scooter, and we'd go outside and we'd scoot around.
That would actually be really fun. That's one way to get me to do math, I think. Okay, so after COVID then, what were you seeing? What has your world been like since then?
So here's the interesting thing. This year especially, I have this phenomenal caseload. I've got these really great, highly motivated kids. We're doing MAPS testing this week. I'm doing some one-to-one small group testing. We do our 5 questions. We take a little break. Our goal is to do about 15 a day. And I say to this group, okay, now, do you want some free time? I really can't have you on your computer, but I got some other things for you to do. Or you can go back in and you can hear the lesson. And this kid goes, I'd like to go back and hear the lesson. And he gets up and we were working in, I was in this resource room and this teacher looks at me and goes, did he just say he wants to go back and hear the lesson? And did all those other kids just go with him? I'm like, yeah, that just happened.
Just so let's go with it.
Go.
Don't think about it. Don't say it.
We're just doing it, right? But I look at the number of kids that we had. This was a group of kids that during COVID, their parents were really, their education was left to their parents. And I think their parents had this, oh my gosh, moment. Like
some awareness.
Or this isn't the education that I grew up with, that I know how to foster and support. In our area, I can speak to, there's a 6-month waiting list for children to have neuropsych evaluations at our closest hospital. The wait list for those are some of the students that are showing up on my caseload, these highly motivated kids who are scoring. I've got 2 kids right now who, as we're doing MAPS testing, are at the 48th percentile. I'm like, why, how did this kid qualify for reading? Like, where did this come back? And I look at some evaluations. And so this is actually exciting. I should be celebrating. In 2 weeks, we have a meeting where we're talking about a kid. She has achieved her goals, and her testing is really showing that our services and services that she'll need at high school aren't necessary.
Yeah.
Those are really good. Those are really great moments. I have a lot of concerns about social emotional learning. That is a whole different thing. But it goes into that when we talk about neuropsych evaluations as part of many of these students that had some neuropsych evaluations that qualified them. Those were private. So then we talk about where's the social justice in that? Where's the equality? Because I guess an uninsured neuropsych
what's the
evaluation,
access going to? Yeah.
What's your access point? And then what is the quality? Because that's the other thing. I ran into an evaluation last year done by a private company. The state had hired them. My student's name was spelled wrong all the way through. There are some things, and I know, okay, listeners, that's, the spelling of the name is wrong, but for those of us in education, we know the value of a name.
That's an indicator yes.
You're right.
When we were prepping for this, you mentioned that we've been existing for 50 years with IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. It was called something else when it was originally passed, but we've talked about this before on the show in a kind of cursory way. We talked about IEPs, we've talked about free, appropriate public education, we've talked about least restrictive environments, all of these things. How do you kind of like weigh the legacy of that sort of legislation? Because I hear you speaking about how all these processes grow up around it.
Individualized education plan drives every decision that has so much weight and has so much power. And it's a huge driver of decisions that we make day to day in the classroom. Districts and large state stakeholders as we define what least restrictive environment is. That is trying to describe how to make chicken soup. What does least restrictive environment mean, and what does inclusion mean? Everybody has their own definition. When I talk about the chicken soup analogy, I grew up in a family dedicated to food service. My dad managed a country club, and he worked during golf season from sun up to sundown. My mom would joke, like she'd hold up a picture of him and be like, "That's still him," like because June, July, and August, he wasn't around. Now I did get to see my dad in the fall, because when all of his employees wanted off, like all the high school kids who were in the dish room wanting to go to the football game, my dad would like promote one of the dishwashers who wasn't going to go out to be the bus person, and then he would have me come in and wash dishes. I was 6.
Yeah, incredible bonding opportunity.
Yeah,
I was 6. You buried that.
Like, just stand here on this crate and like shove these through. You'll be fine. Those are really great bonding times on the way home. But I remember saying to my dad, how can you do this? Like, why do you like this? What is it? And he was like, "Tina, it's a challenge every day. Everybody thinks like they can cook. Everybody's made chicken soup." I did not get that until right now, when we talk about like free access to public education in the least restrictive environment. The hardest thing is everybody knows how to make chicken soup. But what is your definition of that? Is it organic chicken with bone broth? Is it opening up a can? Is it dumping, the Mrs. Grass and the little golden egg and adding boiling water? Or is it something else, some other recipe that you've experienced somewhere else in your life? And that's, I think, where the challenge is in education in so many ways. But like everything in the world of special education, it's just amplified so much more because everyone is so invested.
I'm sure you hear this. I hear parents go, "Well, that isn't how we did it," or "That isn't." And it's like, okay, well, that's true. And we've learned a lot about a lot of things that we don't do the way we used to. And so, grandma's chicken noodle soup was good, but could it be, whatever.
Could it be better? But it's what you know, and what and in those times when you really need soup, like it's
you're going to eat it. Yeah.
You're going to go to it and you cling to it, and that's what you crave. And I think that's why right now in my world of education and what fully inclusive practices look like, there's so many stakeholders that have so many different beliefs around like what is inclusion and what is least restrictive environment. And everybody has their own recipe, and everybody has certain things that they feel the most comfortable with. My most important stakeholders are those students. And then the most important person in that student's life, that's their parent, their caregiver, or that person that's going to be with them through this entire life's journey. Their 8th grade year with me, or if we loop, there's something 8th grade year with me. That's just a blip, but it's their parent or their caregiver who will be with them forever on this journey, hopefully.
For sure.
So I'm listening to those stakeholders, like what's important. You think, well, okay, so what's important for that family? Now design the programming around them. But for every family, it's so much
multiply
different.
that times your caseload.
Caseload of 14, and then very different perspectives. And I like to talk about like the making muffins story. A very good friend of mine has a daughter with some significant cognitive needs. And Emily gets this phone call one day from her daughter's school, and they're like, "Hey, tomorrow we're having a change in schedule. It's a half day, and we think that there might be, your daughter might have some like issues like adjusting and to this. So we thought we'd have a fun day for her, and we're going to have muffin morning, and we're going to make muffins, and we're going to bring in math concepts and all of this stuff." And she's like, "Oh, okay, well, what's everybody else doing?" "Well, it's a field day, and then we're going to watch a movie." And she was like, "Wait, but we make muffins at home. I don't," and like, then it led to this whole conversation. Like, she was very strong on, we bake and we cook at home. I expect her to be in the math class, learning how to school and be in school. We're not making muffins. I hear the flip side of this past weekend. I'm walking with a friend of mine. She works at a special pops program at our local YMCA. and they have goals and they work with families, and families come in and their population is 21 and beyond. So she sits down with his family and she's like, tell me some goals. What would you like us, to be doing and working on? And this mom, straight face, looks at her and said, well, he really needs to start learning how to do his laundry. And I would really like for you to be working on these things. And my friend was like, we're the YMCA.
Please, ma'am.
This
is the YMCA.
He's 32 and lives at home with you. Laundry is something that is in your household.
Yeah.
What people expect around education and program and things like that is so different. There's this moving target, and how do we ensure the most rigorous education for career, college, and being life ready for every single student that walks through our doors? That's where our challenge is.
I do think that COVID did something to the expectations or barriers or buckets that we put different kinds of learning in. Humanity went through something big, and it seems like there was a big reorientation of expectations of what happens in school, what happens in social spheres, what happens in the workplace. Like all these borders and boundaries kind of became permeable.
I think that the boundaries around what's expected of what we expect from families and from children, what is expected from education, I think everybody got really scared about if their expectations were being met or not met, and how fragile a system can be. Mm-hmm. And that fragileness of the system is just, we're still living and working with that. Here is how I'm trying to mindfully approach this shift and handle it better than I think what I was feeling last year. Every year I pick a word of the year. Last year, my word was thrive. Because by the time I picked that word in January, I had spent months surviving. And I was really stuck in this, I need to survive this. I'm going to survive. I'm going
just
to
getting through.
Yeah. I was getting through. And I ended up picking this word thrive. And it being about I'm going to do some hard things, but I'm still going to grow and I'm still going to change. So to kind of keep that mindset wrapped around me in education right now, I'm standing in this water. And it's for a while there, I was in this wave, and the waves are really great. I was moving in the right direction, and I'm doing all these things. But when you get closer to shore and you're being pushed, but you're kind of being pulled, and you're trying to figure out which way to go. Right now in my career, I'm taking pause, and I'm kind of standing there in more of the shallow part. Stuff is still crashing and moving. That's happening, but I've decided right now, I'm just going to plant my feet. And I'm just going to observe those waves, because I can tell you when I don't do that in nature, bad things happen. I was hiking this summer with my girlfriends in Zion National Park, and I got my backpack on, and I've got my phone on the side of it, and I've got this awesome app. Okay, it's the Merlin app. I identified a nuthatch. Do you know that's a bird that can go upside down on the tree? It's got a little claw, and that's why it can be upside down. Yeah, fact check me. It's true. They're here in Wisconsin.
He's upside down.
Yeah. Merlin app. You're welcome. But here's back to the educational relevance of this. Are you ready? I'm walking down this hill in Zion, and I am so mesmerized. I'm looking at the landscape out here. It is amazing. And I am with my friends, and we're being amazing. And then I hear this bird, and I've got to identify that bird because I need to add it to my bird portfolio. And I reach behind me to get my phone. And the next thing you know, I am down. I caught my foot on a tree root that I didn't see. The bird flies off. My friend Dee is down on the ground. She's like, Tina, how many fingers? I want you to stay down right now. And she starts assessing me. This is my Boundary Waters leader friend. She's got sandwiches, and I really think she was ready to force feed me a sandwich.
Wanted to use
she was ready
her
to
preparation. I know. I love people like that.
Okay, but you know how awkward I am. I'm I'm fine.
You are.
I jump up. Now my arm is still caught behind my backpack. My phone is I missed that bird. I still don't know what it is. I'm going back and I'm finding that bird. But
And that bird is still laughing at you.
Right.
Just so you know.
Yeah. Here's what happened. Here's how it connects. I was so distracted by the mountain. I was so focused on something else that I missed the tree root and I started to get off the path. That's why right now in my career, things are shifting. What's my job? The job is to show up here, watch the things that are around me, and make the very best decisions in the moment for my students,
right?
So that they can feel and be successful. But if I can answer the question, did I help this kid on their journey to be college, career, life ready today? I can put my head down at night. Do I start to get scared when I look way off on the horizon past those waves at things that are coming? A little bit.
Yeah, that's the scariest part.
That is the scariest part.
The next wave.
Here's what I would say. I'm still excited about education this year in my teaching team. I joke that there are a couple of us, we're the Golden Girls. And then we have colleagues that are just starting out. They're in year 1, 2. A student teacher that was up in our area, she just got a job at Semester here in our district. So that's exciting. She's got a great network of people. And I really do think, like, I count myself so lucky to have people like my friends who do podcasts and friends that we've met in our professional development journeys. And you get a group of teachers together and we all realize we're in the same boat.
I feel like, especially with like the fellowship I did with you and some of those people that we've connected with and whatever, like
right.
I have truly learned that we are so much more similar than we are different, even if you teach this or that or whatever.
Right.
And I think that that's probably the best gift for teachers, people who are trying to put themselves out there, who are willing to be uncomfortable and whatever that might look like for them.
Let's just go rapid fire through this last bit. Let's start out with the most impactful professional development that you've done recently, or that you just want to highlight, something that's been meaningful to you.
Very meaningful. The 9/11 Museum has an incredible 1-week experience for educators. Please look into that. That was an amazing learning journey. Every time that I get to do something amazing related to professional development, I always try to find a moment and stand in a place and think, how did this girl from Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, who struggled to learn how to read, end up here in this space or this place getting to do this thing? I stood on the Great Wall of China and I felt that way. I stood in this classroom at World Trade. And I've had those feelings in so many different places when I was doing service learning travel with students. And, and my own son was one of those people that one year I was traveling with. And I stood there and I'm standing in a field where we're planting bananas or banana trees. And I'm thinking, how do I get to be this fortunate or this lucky? And I realized it's not those spaces or those places, but it's the people that I'm with. Last December, I drove an hour and 15 minutes and ended up in a professional development put on by CISA about how to administer the DLM, which is a standardized test for some of our most significantly disabled students. And I ended up having lunch with this great teacher that I had never met before. And we just had this amazing conversation about like education and belief in kids. And I think that the biggest professional development is the professional that shows up. And what are you willing to do as a professional that shows up? Are you willing to not sit with the 6 people that all are in from your same school? Are you willing to be the person that sits down at that table? And who's going to come sit with you that you don't know? I think that's the developing part.
I'm going to shift gears very rapidly. Tell us about Marbles.
This is just Chelsea's special interest because she loved hearing about marbles. So this is just your chance to shine.
Coming soon to the Oconomowoc Area School District Summer School Programming Guide is the class Marbles. It is amazing. The work of special education services and making sure that all kids every day and guided by this IEP, I would get to the summer and I'd just be like, I need to breathe. But going 180 miles an hour and then throwing on the brakes is not good for me.
I get that.
It's very good for Amazon's bottom line because all of a sudden I start like ordering stuff at 6:30 in the morning that we don't need at home. So I was sitting by your swimming pool ordering dumb stuff online and then like hoping those packages would not all show up at the same time. So so to combat this, I do a 1-week travel with some of my best mom friends around. This year, we're going to the Shenandoah National Park. Follow us.
That's so fun.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Mom's backpacks. It's amazing. Everybody carries their own backpack. That's the rule. Everybody carries their own stuff, whatever it is, emotional or whatever. But then I teach 6 weeks of summer school, and it is the best summer school class. Marbles, marbles, marbles. We have a big bin of marbles and all those Amazon boxes and stuff that I collect and toilet paper tubes.
They came back around.
It was meant to be. And honestly, kids just want to play and have adults get out of the way. My job is to have the tape out because it's a 6-week course. We have a limited supply of toilet paper tubes. If anyone from Kimberly-Clark is listening, help a girl out. So then there's toilet paper tubes and masking tape boxes. And then kids will be like, can I bring it? And I listen and I'm like, yes, pretty much whatever you want to bring in to like build with. Yes. It's a 2-hour class and kids show up and marbles, 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 marbles. And then there's like snack. And then we have some outside recess time. And then we come in and they're going into 3rd, going into 4th, going into 5th grade. So they get a little sweaty. So we kind of got to like chill it out before we do like a little more marble. So we like the class all of a sudden became, we go out for recess, then we come in and we watch Magic School Bus until the end of the day. And then we just like rinse and repeat. And we do this all the way through. It's
amazing.
Yeah. And again, adults just getting out of the way. What's really great about that is we also have students who have adults that moved with them during summer school. They're invited in at any time.
I love that.
They can just like come in and play with marbles or like watch other kids' tracks. And it's great. I've got some teachers that I'm really like in their ear chirping at. I've also, when I say I, like A and I have designed another class, crayons. You guys.
I cannot with you.
Somebody's going to put this, like Teachers Pay Teacher. You know somebody like right now is like,
they are already making this money.
Somebody's on Gemini going like this. Design a 25-day class that lasts 2 hours that incorporates using science reading. I did that. Okay, I totally did this. This is how I got marbles. It's amazing.
Is it?
But then I took like the whole unit of study away. Like I had this whole like STEM include like all of these things. There was like a history of like marbles. So yes,
you're right.
Crayons is coming soon. So I've got some big summer professional decisions to make. Number one, what backpack will I be hiking through or on the Appalachian Trail with? I guess it's on because I'm not doing the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I have to get back for marbles. Now, question. Can we do like a listener poll? 3 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks, marbles. And then to keep it lively, 3 more weeks of crayon.
Tempting.
Just keeping it alive. Or do I just like,
I don't know.
All in, all marbles and let some youngster like do crayon.
I'm kind of into the marbles, but I trust your knowledge of these students. But I am personally pro marble.
You're pro marble. Okay, this is really these are some things.
I think I would be pro marble too.
I think I would just have so much fun doing that. I did a 21st Century Grant program. God, this was like so long ago now. And I did Legos. That was mine. And so we would like bring in a bowling ball and try to build a bridge that could hold the bowling ball and stuff like that. And there was some level of STEM and science and all of those things that were required as part of the 21st Century Grant for those people that are listening. We had so much fun with Lego.
You know, I'm feeling a bit a little salty here because that's my biggest competition for summer school, and you're promoting it. There is a Lego class happening, and it runs concurrently.
I'm sorry.
Like
it would be a tough decision.
No, it sounded like you already made one.
No, I didn't. I was just suggesting that I have also seen.
Listeners.
This is so personal. What if this ruins your enrollment? Sorry, everyone's in Lego club. They don't want Lego. Lego.
Like, no, they're in Lego.
Well, I think Marbles is appropriate and perfect for you.
Yeah, because I think the Lego Mania class is called Lego Mania, and I don't think that's really like emotionally appropriate anymore. Like they need to rebrand that.
We're doing too much with the Lego.
Too much.
Okay, I would love for you to think 5 to 10 years sort of into the future now. For those who are about to emerge from teacher training programs or colleges of education or places like that, what is something that you would want those programs, people teaching in them, those kind of teacher mentors, what do you want those people to know? What do you think is most important for people who are training the next generation of teachers to know right now about what's going on in the classrooms that these, young educators are emerging into?
Well, first of all, I want those young educators to get the message that this is still the best career that you can get into. I would like educators to share with them that this is the best, hardest thing you'll ever do, because your payoff isn't going to happen immediately. This is year 31 for me. I married a business guy, So at the end of every month, I get to see like this spreadsheet and like the bottom line. And like, as we built our business together, we had a very clear path. We knew when the business was working. We knew when the business wasn't working.
That is not education.
That is not. But a girl in my second year I ever taught, she was tough. Quite frankly, her mama was even tougher to work with. And I was a young second-year teacher, and that was just a really tough family and a tough situation and a tough kid. And on Facebook, she just like did a shout out to me about like Tina Heineke-Kurtz. She was the one that cared. I truly thought when they left the elementary school that I was teaching that I thought this kid hated me. I thought this mom hated me. I thought I had failed. That was like one of my professional, there's just some of them that you're like, I missed something. That was such a New Year's gift that I got. Like I saw that and I was like,
and you didn't know you needed it either.
I didn't. Yeah. But now that that I'm living and working in the community where I have been for so long, it's really kind of great when I show up places. I was working at our school's basketball game and I ran into a former student who's there watching her son play. And she's putting on this fundraiser in honor of her dad who passed from Alzheimer's. And I just see these amazingly great community members who were students in my classroom. And it's finally starting to come to this place. A couple of years ago, my daughter had an allergic reaction, pretty significant. I got called out of my classroom to take her to the hospital because I was in the same building as she was. We get there. They immediately injected her. They EpiPenned her right there. And I had been like in control the whole time. And like this happened. And when they talk about you have this impending sense of doom when you're having this allergic reaction, like Kylie is in the middle of this. And I am now like not okay.
You're finally feeling something.
Like I am like,
hit, yeah.
I drove her here and now the professionals are doing what they need to do. And I knew she was going to be okay, but it was not okay in the moment.
Yeah.
I felt on my arm this nurse and she's like, Mrs. Kurtz, we've got her. We're going to be okay. She's going to be okay. And I look, it is a former student of mine who was once in my science class.
Oh,
I'm sob crying by this point. Like I'm grateful my daughter's okay, but that's everything I work for in that science classroom right there. If there is something that got her, like helped her in nursing school, who got her to that point, and it's now helping my kid.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah.
and she helps somebody's kid every single day. So that's what I want young teachers to know, that there's going to be these times where you're going to think that I didn't do this well enough, or I didn't do this, or you're going to present the science lesson and you have no idea who it's going to reach, but you did something amazing.
Last thing up. What have we learned in the last couple of weeks? Do you want to kick us off, Tina?
I'm enjoying learning about, my fascination with podcasts is very strong.
Oh,
so
yeah?
Yes, there are. So I've been listening to some like what if histories, and I'm not really a big what if history sort of person.
I like that.
Okay, but there's like this whole tutor podcast that I'm listening to that's like, what if Henry VIII never married Anne Boleyn, and like what would that have looked like? Or I'm fascinated.
I actually want you to text me that immediately because I want to listen to that. Thank you.
What about you, Katie?
I just learned about a bird that can be upside down. That was kind of cool. I just finished finally prepping a new unit, which is all about, I'm trying to complicate Schindler, Oscar Schindler. And that has been for my seniors. That's been a really interesting thing to read into. So I've enjoyed that because it's challenged me and it's been some forced learning, which is good for me. But it's also, I think, a really important educational goal, right? Look at these people and how good they can be. And also, guess what? And I think we need to complicate more history. And so I decided to start with him.
But actually, I think that honors history when we look at, that we give depth people in history, that they're still human and fallible.
Right.
And even the most fallible people also
can make interesting decisions. They can make life-changing decisions. They can, So we're gonna have to dive in a little bit deeper. Right now, the kids aren't quite with me, but we'll get there. Chelsea?
Oh, I've been learning about community improvement corporations, which are nonprofits that you can form in Ohio, probably elsewhere too, but I don't know if they're called the same thing. Community Development Corporation. Anyway, it's a nonprofit you can start to kind of help your community in all kinds of different ways. They can issue small business loans, or they can buy and sell property, or help you revitalize your downtown and apply for grants, or, administer grants. It's kind of a cool engine of community change.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us and talking with us. Is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with? Any nugget of wisdom before we go here?
Well, if at any point that you enjoyed this, I'm really angling to be like an extra special guest every once in a while.
Oh, absolutely.
With Tina.
Traversing with Tina?
Traversing with Tina. And
I think we should start our own, you should start your own YouTube channel. We could make it your own, Traversing with Tina mini-series.
Would you? Yes.
100%. I would pay for that.
Get you some sponsors.
Girl, would I?
Set you up a Patreon.
Hello, listeners, and thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of 16 to 1. This show is produced by a two-woman team, your co-hosts Katie Day, our lead researcher and social media manager, and Chelsea Adams, that's me. I edit and produce the show, and I also make the music you hear in our episodes. Please consider subscribing to the show or recommending it to a friend or colleague. We love word-of-mouth support. Visit our website at 16to1.com for show notes and resources, or to get in touch with us. 16 to 1 is sponsored by Moonbeam Multimedia, a firm that partners with civic innovators, educators, and mission-driven organizations to help create stronger communities.
Kevin made me a mixtape on my first day of teaching.
Oh,
It was amazing. Yep, mixtape. That's how old we are. He's like, hey, it's a school.
was on it?
Hot for teacher.